Hey, what's up guys? It's Rachel. Welcome to my channel if you're new. If you're returning, welcome back. It's great to see you again. I am a part-time reseller on sites like eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. And I love sharing my reseller tips and tricks on this channel with you guys in hopes that it helps you grow your own reseller business. So if you're interested in reseller content, certainly consider subscribing to my channel. I love giving you guys content at least a couple times a week, sharing my reseller life with you here. And drop me a like if at any point you find this helpful. It really helps out my channel and lets me know you guys like the content so I can keep making more of it. So today's video is geared, I guess, towards new resellers, but I think if you are a seasoned reseller, stick around. You might find some of this information valuable as well. Some of you guys have reached out to me and asked me to do a video on how I got started and what it took to get myself from, ground zero, first day on the job, so to speak, to where I am today. And I've been reselling since 2010. I started a weight loss journey and my clothes became too big and I needed new clothes, but I didn't want to buy too many new clothes because as I continued to lose weight, I knew that I was going to need new sizes quickly. So I started thrifting for, a temporary wardrobe. And at the same time, I started selling my used clothing that was now too big, but still, was great. I didn't want to throw it away. And I'd also already spent money on it. So I started posting my used clothing on eBay. And I was very surprised that people actually were paying some decent money for my used clothing. And when I was thrifting, looking for new clothes for myself, I was realizing, people actually donate some really great stuff. Even though it wasn't necessarily my size, I figured if people would buy my size used clothing, then they would buy any sized used clothing. And so I started picking up a few extra things every time I would go thrifting in other sizes besides my own with the intention to resell them. So that's how my reseller business got started. And it was really just a little bit of a hobby for many years. I started on eBay in 2010, Poshmark in 2014. I would say by 2015, 2016, it was a full-blown operation. I had a reseller room and I was actively thrifting on a regular basis to acquire inventory and resell. So I am hoping within the next year or so that this can become a full-time gig for me. And, right now I do work a full-time corporate job, but as life happens, I'm hoping that that will change. All of that being said, based on my knowledge and my experience, I want to share with you guys 5 things that you don't need to start reselling. I hear a lot of people talk about what you do need, and quite frankly, it can become overwhelming. There's so many things that you need that you lose sight of what your priorities should be. It becomes overwhelming. And so I'm going to talk about what you don't need. At the end, I will talk about a few things that you probably should consider having, but really it's more about what you don't need because I don't want you to overthink it. So these are in no particular order. They are just 5 random things that I think you don't need. Now, again, take this with a grain of salt. Please keep in mind everybody's reseller business is different and you might not agree with these, and that's okay. I definitely welcome your comments. Let's start a discussion about this topic because it's different for everybody and I recognize that. So just know when I say these things, it's coming from my perspective and just what I have found has worked for me in the past. So first thing, and this is probably going to be the most controversial, if you will, courses. Now, I will say you do not need a course to start a reseller business. Point blank, flat out, you don't need it. There are plenty of ways to find all the information you would find in paid courses for free on the internet. I know myself, I love to put tips and tricks out here on YouTube, for example. I am never going to charge you for this information. It really depends on what type of person you are though and what works best for you. So I'm not saying that courses do not contain helpful information. I'm not saying that courses don't work for some people. I'm not saying that the people selling the courses aren't worth the time that they spent in to put them together for you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that you do not need to pay for a course to learn the information. Now, if you are the type of person that if you pay for something, you hold yourself accountable to learn it or to do it, maybe look into a course. Or if you're the type of person that would rather pay to have all the information laid out in front of you, again, maybe, but I don't think, the best method is good old trial and error. And if you want the information, it is readily available for you, not in somebody's paid course. The next thing is an aesthetic, a closet aesthetic. And I have heard people telling new resellers, you should stick to one thing and, have an aesthetic in your Poshmark closet, your eBay store, or whatever. I will say that I sell anything and everything, and it doesn't seem to affect the shoppers that I have. I guess the idea behind having an aesthetic, meaning like, you only sell plus size, or you only sell shoes, or you only sell a specific style like vintage or boho or whatever. Now, you could choose to do that if it's what you enjoy doing. Like, I only enjoy selling shoes, so I want to sell shoes. You could do that, but if you're just starting out, sell whatever you can get your hands on, right? Just sell it, just list it, just sell it. There is no need for an aesthetic. You do have a small population of customers that might come back to your closet because they like your aesthetic, but that is not the overwhelming majority of shoppers. Shoppers are going to get on, they're going to search for something they need, and they're going to buy it from you if you have it. This is, again, and you'll hear me say this throughout this, trial and error, right? Source whatever you can access and start there. Don't worry about whether it fits your aesthetic or not. It does not matter. The next thing you don't need is brand knowledge. Now, and especially if you're on social media, even if you've watched my videos or other YouTubers, we always talk about bolo brands, bolo brands, bolo brands. Is it helpful to know certain brands that sell well? Yes, but you don't need to have some vast knowledge of bolo brands to be a reseller. What I would recommend is start off with what you like. Okay, I love American Eagle, Lucky Brand, and Torrid, right? Those are 3 brands I know that I like to wear, that I look for when I'm shopping, and start there, right? If you know that those are 3 brands that you really like, chances are there are other people out there that really like wearing those brands too. They know their size, they know their style, they're comfortable with the quality and the price point. Look for that, right? And start where you are. You will eventually grow, again, trial and error. You will eventually grow your brand knowledge. You will start to learn other brands to pick up. You will have to start a little bit taking risks, again, trial and error, on brands that you may have never heard of. And so I would say get a little bit more used to recognizing quality, like fabric content, and condition, because those are going to be a little bit more important than brand, especially when you're in the thrift store, you're overwhelmed, you see all this stuff. If you see something that feels like it's good quality, it looks like it's in great condition, pull it aside and look up comps. You're going to have to look up comps. You're not going to know right away whether something is good or not, especially when you're first starting out. You're going to have to be willing to take that time to look up comps, but you don't need to know every single good brand. And quite frankly, you will never know every single good brand. I've been doing this, again, 12 years, and I'm sure every single time I go thrifting, I pass up something I didn't know was worth looking at. And the brands, and that constantly changes. You just have to develop your eye for quality, and don't be afraid to look up comps. Next thing you don't need, and this may surprise you that I say this, but social media. You do not need social media. Social media, especially Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I spend a lot of time on Instagram. In the reseller world, you don't need it. Okay, there is a lot of great advice out there There is a lot of great supportive community on social media. There's a lot of great content, a lot of great advice. But there's also a lot of not so great advice, a lot of not so great content, a lot of, for the lack of the better word, like petty back and forth and things that will bog you down with and get you caught up in what's not important, right? So you don't need social media. I started reselling in 2010 and I did not start, I was not on Instagram or Facebook or anything in a reseller perspective until 2020, until it was a pandemic and I couldn't go thrifting and I had nothing else to do, is when I discovered like the reseller community online. So you don't need it. Is it helpful? Yes, but you don't need it. So take it with a grain of salt. Realize that there is a lot of not so great advice for every great piece of advice that's out there. And not everything that's working for other people is going to work for you. And not everybody is in the same point in their reseller business that you are. And it becomes easy to compare yourself and get discouraged. So just, again, take it with a grain of salt. Use it as a helpful tool, but you don't need it. You just do not need it. And the last thing, daily listings. So consistency is important, but you don't want to burn yourself out. It's more important to put out good quality listings and get your shipping out when you do make sales and answer questions when they come in. Don't burn yourself out feeling like I got a list every day. Just do what you can, build up to it. You're going to make sales if sales are to be made. Stay consistent, but don't burn yourself out. It's really not necessary. There are a couple things that I do recommend you consider looking into, even if you are brand new to the game. Number one is a inventory tracking system. In 2022, the tax laws have changed. Any of the platforms, if you make over $600, you will receive a 1099, so you will have to claim that on your taxes. So it's going to be very, very important. Even if you are just starting small, you need to document it. I have been using my Reseller Genie for that. It is a great tool. You put in exactly what you've purchased, what inventory you had. You put in there when you make a sale, you document it, and you can actually document all of your expenses and the things that you write off, so that when it does come tax time, you have a nice, well laid out document of exactly where your expenses and your profits are. I do have a link down below for my Reseller Genie if you want to give it a try. There's a code in there for 15% off your first month. Again, even if you are a brand new reseller, this is not something you want to get stuck figuring out when it comes tax time, because chances are if you're not prepared, you're going to owe more money than you expect. And that's not a good scenario. It's discouraging and it can get some people in hot water. So not to scare you, but really it is important. Even if you are just starting out, you need to document. And my Reseller Genie is a great tool. And it really just takes all the guesswork out of like, what should I be keeping track of? So definitely check that out. And the other big thing that you need is patience. So good old-fashioned patience. You have to be patient with yourself. You have to be patient with the process. Again, back to the social media thing, it's easy to think or get the illusion that people are just effortlessly doing this. It takes work. Again, it's going to take trial and error. It's going to take patience for you to build up to a consistent, sales. And you really have to be committed to constant learning, right? It's not okay, I know everything I need to know. Now I can just go on autopilot with my reseller business. It does take patience and dedication. And you might not make sales every day or every other day, but just know that if you are working on it, you are building up to that, but it won't happen overnight. So anybody that tells you you're going to get rich quick doing this, they're sadly mistaken. It took me a good, like I said, 4 years at least to transfer from a hobby reseller to a part-time income doing this. Now it was for me in my life and where I was in my life at the time I started doing this, I wasn't interested in doing more than just a hobby situation. But my need for income grew and therefore my business grew. So everybody's a little bit different in that space. Just know it's not going to happen overnight. I don't care who you are or what you do. You are not going to be an overnight success. None of us are. None of us ever will be. So just to set that expectation, you have to have patience. I do have some links down below for some other tools that I use if you want to check them out. Again, not things that you need to get started, but things that as you grow, you may want to consider. Number one is List Perfectly. I have been using List Perfectly for 2 years now. It really helps me get all of my inventory onto all of my different platforms and really just keep track of what's posted where so I don't accidentally sell things twice. And it makes the cross-listing process very, very easy. There is a link down below for that. If you're interested, it's risk-free to try. You get 30% off your first month. Posher VA. So if you're on Poshmark, a lot of people are starting as resellers on Poshmark, and you'll find that the platform itself is a time suck. You have to share, you have to, share other people's closets. There's parties, there's this, there's that. You talk about delisting and relisting. It gets to be a lot, but Posher VA shares my closet for me every single day. I don't have to worry about spending a bunch of time on the app. I can schedule when I want my closet to share. I can put a cap on how many times or how many listings get shared a day so I don't run into, so I don't go into jail. So if you want to check out Posher VA, there's also a link down below for 20% off your first month of Posher VA. Again, you don't need it, especially if you don't have a ton of listings, but as your business grows, I definitely think, time is money. And if you're spending a lot of time on the Poshmark app, there's, better ways to spend your time to make more money. So I definitely would love to know your thoughts. Do you like content like this? Me just kind of chatting with you guys about, what's working for me. Let me know in the comments. If you have a tip that I didn't mention of what not to do or what you don't need, let me know in the comments as well. Again, I would love for this video to be sort of a jump off of, discussion for other resellers that are just getting started. So don't be afraid to let me know in the comments. Again, drop me a like. If you found this helpful, it certainly helps my channel and, helps my channel grow and for other people to see this video. Feel free to share this with your reseller friends or anybody that you know that is just getting started. I would encourage you to, post this on your Facebook, your Instagram, share it with anybody. And again, certainly subscribe to my channel. If you're interested in content like this, I love sharing my tips and tricks and what works for me here on my channel. So I would love to see you again in a future video. I certainly appreciate you watching and I will catch you in the next one.